The last movie that James Gunn worked on was, of course, The Suicide Squad, which actually hits both theaters and HBO Max this Friday, August 6th. But after this, what's next for James Gunn? Specifically, when it comes to the superhero world. We know he's doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I'm super excited for. But is he coming back to DC? Will he do another Suicide Squad movie? Will he tap into some other franchise? Well, we just got our answer, because not only did James Gunn just confirm that he is working on another DC project, but he said specifically, it's not what anybody would expect. I'll tell you that much. And this is a project that I assume probably will be announced maybe at DC Fandom, because we know that's coming in October, and that honestly be the perfect place to announce this. So I have no idea if he's going to do another Suicide Squad movie or not, but the fact that he says that it's not expected means that that's not what he's talking about. So he might do another Suicide Squad movie, but this is something different. So let's talk about all the possibilities of different DC movies and franchises that James Gunn could be tackling in the DCEU. And these are my top ideas, so of course let me know yours in the comments below. What do you think James Gunn's next DC project could be? And let's start off with one that is kind of obvious, which I think is likely to happen, but I don't know if that's necessarily the one that he's talking about, because again, it is kind of an obvious scenario, and that is Gotham City Sirens, because James Gunn has said that Margot Robbie is literally his favorite actor that he has ever worked with, and he's had conversations with her about doing another movie featuring Harley Quinn, and we all want Gotham City Sirens, or at least most of us do. That's basically what all of us wanted instead of Birds of Prey. You know, it's cool that we have Birds of Prey in the DCU, but instead of throwing Harley Quinn into that movie, give us a Gotham City Sirens movie. And this is exactly what most of us want. And because James Gunn loves the character of Harley Quinn so much, he loves working with Margot Robbie, he wants to do another project with her as Harley Quinn, and based off what we've seen from the trailers and stuff, looks like a really great adaptation of Harley Quinn. I would love to see him do a Gotham City Sirens movie where we not only get to see that team up between Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy, but also we will finally get to see that romantic relationship between Harley and Ivy as well, because that's something that Margot Robbie has even said she really wants to do in the DCU, and Gotham City Sirens is the perfect way to do that. But again, he said that his next DC project is not something anyone would expect, and it's not obvious, unlike this Gotham City Sirens movie, which again is kind of an obvious choice for his next DC movie. So, what are some other ideas? Well, one that James Gunn has actually talked about is that he's said recently that he really wants to do a kind of Western movie. And what about a DC Western? What kind of Western characters are there in the DC universe? Well, what about Jonah Hex? Jonah Hex is such a cool, interesting character because, yes, Jonah Hex is technically a DC Comics character, but, you know, if you do a Jonah Hex movie, it doesn't really have to even necessarily have any connections to the DC universe. He doesn't have any superpowers or anything, at least as far as I'm aware. We've got him in live action previously. We actually do have a Jonah Hex movie where Josh Brolin played Jonah Hex, so this would be a new reboot of that, and we did actually get an amazing adaptation of the character on the CW in the Arrowverse with DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and I love that version of the character, but I'd love to see him in the DCU. And James Gunn, again, he said he would love to do a Western, so why not bring in some Jonah Hex? I think that could be honestly pretty cool. And again, because, you know, James Gunn has really praised Warner Brothers and DC for when it comes to the Suicide Squad, really allowing him to have that creative freedom and kill off any character he wanted to and not worry about how this connects to the rest of the DC extended universe. So I feel like this would be really a perfect option for that to be on opportunity here, where again, Jonah Hex doesn't really connect to anything DC. It's not like Superman's going to show up unless that's what he wants to do. That's totally a possibility. But at the same time, it could literally just be a Western using this character where that would literally be the only connection to DC. And honestly, I'd love to see a Jonah Hex movie. But some other options here that there's really no evidence of, but I think would be really cool ideas, are both, these final two ideas are actually both based on just James Gunn's comedy. That's one of the things that he's really praised for in his movies in both Guardians of the Galaxy and especially The Suicide Squad, as we've seen based on reviews. So, he's good with comedy. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are hilarious, and so what's a comedic DC character that he could tackle? Well, when this news first came online, I saw a lot of people saying that they would love to see him do a Booster Gold movie, which I think would be pretty awesome. I'd love a Booster Gold movie. And there were, Warner Brothers officially announced years ago, they were doing Blue Beetle and Booster Gold team-up movie. Then that was scrapped, and they're like, all right, we're doing them as separate movies. We're getting a Blue Beetle movie and a Booster Gold movie. And then that was all scrapped. Now, we are, of course, getting an actual Booster Gold movie, an actual Blue Beetle movie in the DCU, I think as soon as next year, maybe the year after, on HBO Max. So that's happening. But whatever happened to Booster Gold? Really, nothing. So why not bring that into the fold? And James Gunn is pretty good with sci-fi, again, as you've seen in Guardians of the Galaxy. So doing a cool time travel adventure with Booster Gold, I feel like would be like the perfect character for him. But again, there's been no developments on that Booster Gold movie in the longest time, and I have no idea if that's actually going anywhere. But if it did, then that'd be a great thing to connect to the Blue Beetle movie. But this last one is, again, another comedic DC character. This is actually an idea I came up with all on my own, so I'm pretty proud of it myself. And that is actually Plastic Man. This is a character that they have actually officially announced that we are getting a Plastic Man movie at some point down the road. And I've done multiple videos on it. There's even rumors that it's going to be a female Plastic Man, which I and most people are not a fan of. I mean, it's literally Plastic Man, not Plastic Woman, but we'll see what actually ends up happening with that. But I would love a Plastic Man movie, and I feel like James Gunn, again, he's got those comedic skills, and I feel like he could work really well with Plastic Man. And, James Gunn, when it comes to his comedic stuff, it works more when it comes to the more adult side of things and more inappropriate jokes. So I suppose you could do that with Plastic Man. I don't, that's not really what I think of when it comes to Plastic Man, but I feel like that is maybe a character that could work with, and that'd be an interesting change. And you could maybe even make, Plastic Man the Deadpool of the DCU. I don't know if they'd really go that far, but, just an idea. And I think James Gunn would actually work pretty well with Plastic Man. Again, since we know that is supposedly a movie that's in development, that's a possibility. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. What secret DC movie, unexpected, not obvious DC movie, do you think James Gunn is going to be working on next? And of course, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.